Good. Hey, happy Cinco de Mayo. I have my little Cinco de Mayo cup going on right now. So I guess a little
And
cheer.
I'm still doing coffee, so
You're still doing coffee, a little lunch.
yeah.
Cheers to you then. Happy Cinco
That
de Mayo.
doesn't
Well,
work out very well. Metal
interesting.
cup doesn't come up.
Yeah, it just kind of goes away. That's pretty neat though.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's a different Cinco de Mayo than normal. I guess not many people getting together today to celebrate, but happy that
Right.
you come to hang out a little bit and celebrate from social distancing area, I guess you could say. But
Sure.
so hey man, how's it been going over there? In general, talked a little bit about how service providers have stepped up during this time, COVID-19, of course, over a month out from what's been happening, and you being working at Encodiment 3D, one of the largest contract manufacturers and service providers located up there in New York, and servicing the whole nation. Do you guys also service global? Do you have global accounts that you deal with, or is it mostly North America?
Mostly North America. We have a couple. Yeah, I would say pretty much North America.
Right, and you're also focused on metal. Is that correct? Anything else going on in the facility?
That is correct. We are perfectly set up to do metal. So we had plastic to begin with. We had some bias machines. Got rid of those about 3 years ago, and we've been fully metal ever since.
Yeah, and you Encodiment 3D has been around since 2013. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes. So we've been around since then. So 7 years now.
Yeah, and in that time, you've seen the amazing growth. I mean, I've jumped in about 5 years ago, and then even in the last 2 years, it's just been compound the amount of different service providers out there doing things. But Encodiment has always been at that top echelon of what's happening, especially in aerospace and looking at metal 3D printing. I know that you have all the machines in house, not only 3D printers, but you also for full size service shop with CNC machines and all the normal tools that you would have to do any kind of post-processing and any other work that's combined with additive manufacturing. So it's a really amazing facility, and I know you've got a lot of different things going on. What's been happening over this last month and a half or so? Have you shifted what you've seen happening inside the facility, or what are some of the current things that you guys are working on?
Well, I mean, during this time right now, right, with COVID, so we've had some adjustment to make, right? We've got a lot of personnel no longer in the building, trying to deal with those nuances like everybody else is, right? How to handle the company, how to handle physical parts without being there physically, right? It's a difficult situation. So all the spacing and everything else, we've been working through that. For us, really, it's just been cranking metal. I mean, we are fully production. We've gone through that wave, and we've developed production parts with a lot of clients. I would easily say we are aerospace. So let's just say we're aerospace. They have developed production parts, and that's what we're locked down and doing right now. So we're just turning and burning and bringing on equipment. Lots more capacity coming on board. We just installed another large frame machine, and we are looking to place an order for 2 more. On top of the ones we already have. So, we're sitting on 18,
I was about to say close to 20 machines. Yeah, that's awesome.
And then, like you said, with all the secondaries that go along with it, we've got over 50, employees on the site, and we have a 60,000 square foot, shop. We're only using 30,000 square feet, and we haven't even filled half of that yet.
All right.
Wow. We've got a ways to go here to really roll out into additive, and that's been kind of a struggle, with the COVID going on for metal in the additive space. Plastic, on the other hand, if you've been watching and seeing what's going on, how exciting that is, I think it has brought to light additive and its capabilities to a lot more people now who are really starting to see how quickly manufacturing can ramp up in this space. The sharing of the files for the masks and the headgear, for the face shields,
personal protective
all of that
equipment
out there. You've got companies all over the place that are just they're designing a part overnight and sharing that file with everybody, and you instantly have thousands of parts being printed the next day.
Yeah.
across different platforms, right?
So it being that agile to switch over and do that, and to be able to jump into a new process that's happened over the last month and a half is showcases really the ability of additive in general. So that response has been something to be proud of, to be in the industry right now and to see that response happening. It's really neat. So yeah, I hear you on the plastic side. That's a big part of it.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, man. So does that mean that you're looking back into polymer now, or how is that affected Encodema's processes?
No, polymer's its own space. I mean, it's got its own, own thing going on. Like, I've been in this industry for, 25 years. Obviously started with plastics. Plastics is exciting. It developed over those, 20 years before I got into metal. And, it developed out of prototyping, got toward the, production, and what had to happen? Well, the technology in and of itself had to catch up, right? So it had to get better. The materials had to get better. All the software had to get better, and all to increase throughput and get to quote unquote injection molded parts, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's done it.
Yeah.
Plastic has done that now, and now it can compete on the level of an injection molded, part for production. Metal's very, very close to doing the same thing, and probably within the next 5 years, I think we'll start to drop off of the idea that metal can't keep up with machining, casting, on certain parts. There's always going to be a niche for everybody, right? There's always going to be a part that's designed to be casted. You're shooting yourself in the foot trying to do it any other way. But if you're designing for the process, the technology itself is catching up to where manufacturing throughput needs to happen. So it's getting there. It's pretty exciting.
You mentioned some of the materials obviously being a big part of what's going on. What do you see as some key materials that are in development or are working right now? I guess looking towards the future, what would you want to see in a material development happen that would benefit the actual industry?
As far as for metal right now, I think the most important one that's going on right now is 6061. Any of those really high strength aluminums, lightweight. Those are the kind of materials going for. Aerospace is really driving at those, and I think those would be exciting across the board, even for other sectors like automotive as well. Very interested to see that material develop into something that they can qualify for production. The current cast grade material is good. It does a lot of really good things. It has a niche. It has something that it works on. But now they need a lot more. Satellites need support structures, right? Well, they need support structures built out of 6061 or 7000 series aluminums, as opposed to cast grade aluminums.
Right.
So, they're still machining those parts, whereas they could really be moving those parts into that material. So I think that's really the most exciting one so far. Out there, and then of course copper, right? Copper is one that's jet engines are everyone's worried about their jet or the rocket engines, having to not build those big rocket or big copper skirts anymore, and brazing and welding and hand forming all those things together. If they could start to build those in copper straight up, they're really looking forward to that in large frame machines. So copper is probably one of the next ones. Yeah.
Copper is exciting for sure to see what could happen, of course, with internal cooling channels and the ability to build those rocket engine thrusters a lot differently and come up with new designs that were impossible before. So that's been really neat to watch happen and unfold over the last few years. But yeah, that's really cool. So in general, to get back to the contract manufacturers and what Encodem is doing, you said there was about 50 people that you have in house, and they're all are working remote, working with the machines. What's that like right now? Like, what is the process working remote from a machine or not being able to be there at every moment? How does that look right now?
Well, we are definitely engaging in the digital thread now, right? I mean,
right.
So beyond just beyond being able to sit inside of a glass cubicle and look outside to see the machine, you now have to hope that the operator sees the files that you're sending from your home, or as in case some people out of state, right? So now
Hmm.
we're really working that whole thing, and working with the skeleton crew internally, stretching out our hours, and just utilizing the 24/7 technology, right? It is, once you get it built up and running, machines don't get COVID, and they keep going, right?
Right.
So really learning how to work in space, right? Physical space and in the digital space.
Yeah, that's really neat. And I guess that's another advantage that we have in the industry is the ability to change over to that side of it, the digital thread, and getting everything set up as far as what's happening remotely, and then seeing it come to life are an amazing part of additive manufacturing. So this digital age that we're in, with parts, files, getting that turned into a 3D object that's going to be actually entered into one of the machines for a print, and then seeing that happen in the post process, all is going digital. It's not quite 100% there, but it's getting closer and closer to being that way. And with Industry 4.0 right out there, it's the next evolution of where people want to see things going. But there is the reality of, hey, you still have a lot of manual processes you got to dig into here, and then how do we kind of mitigate that from what's happening now in an emergency such as COVID-19? There's a lot of different things, and a lot of companies that aren't quite prepared to mitigate those risks and to be agile enough to switch over. But the 3D printing and additive manufacturing companies have shown that even the mom and pop shops out there, I mean, yes, they're not getting with the FDA to develop something that's perfectly working out there, but they're coming up with quick solutions that at least help a little bit and give people ideas to take it to the next level. So I get to see all those different things right now come to the industry and come to the market in a different way that wasn't quite happening before. And I guess it's just been unfortunately part of what's happening with COVID-19, but at the same time, it's good to know that we're set up to be there at this time to react quickly and to have things in place when supply chains get disrupted. A lot of things that we're dealing with are supplies coming from China. So especially on the PPE side of it, personal protection equipment is mostly made over there, and then to wait for all that and to have that supply chain disrupted and for who knows how long, that's where 3D printing and additive manufacturing has really shined over the last month. They've come in and filled a lot of gaps in small communities that at hospitals or healthcare workers that couldn't have that equipment because they had to wait for so long. They're able to get it in a fairly quickly amount of time and make some iterations, adjustments to their particular needs and circumstances. And that's a lot of the power of what we do. It's able to quick and nimble, change and get on something that you weren't doing before, but you're able to iterate quickly and then get it to a solution and make it happen on the spot. I mean, geez, man, that's just neat. I get a little bit of a fanboy on the backside because I'm just excited to see it happen. I'm like, do you understand what it usually goes into making that happen? And it's just happening right now to supplement a lot of needs. So I'm still proud of the industry for doing that, and I just look forward to seeing more because I think this is kind of activating a lot more happening out there and people thinking in different ways. So I'm excited to see what's next.
Sure. I saw something last night on a commercial. It was a commercial for Abbott Technologies, and of course they were putting out there that they're working on these COVID testing kits, right? And they're getting them out there, and they've ramped up their production and got these things out there. Well, below the picture, I had to stop and pause the TV just to check it out, and they've got written on there these are not FDA approved. Except for now in emergency, it's emergency FDA approved, but still not FDA approved on for regulatory scale, right? They're not done. They're being done now for that. So your point of even mom and pop shops not being FDA approved and they're running plastic parts and they're doing this, doing that. You're seeing like you said, the connection of the thread there of even large scale manufacturers like an Abbott. Are being competed against with guys who are working out of their garage, right, with 3 little printers,
Sure.
And on the same level, same scale. It's the same equipment in most cases, right? In most cases, it's being used in the plastic world. They're essentially the same equipment. You do have some larger scale equipment. You may have some more industrial scale machines. Same technology though. I mean, it's the same thing, right? A hot head squirting plastic.
Mhm.
So it's very interesting to see how quickly what we call mom and pop shops ramp up into that manufacturing level on this next wave, right?
Sure.
And of course, I've been
They're
watching and
learning.
seeing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're learning, and the industry's learning, right?
Yep.
They're all learning that, well, wait a minute, maybe we don't have to, keep shunning this, this additive technology as a, redheaded stepchild, right? It's good, these are good parts.
Yeah.
It's a great technology. And then you've got, all the different materials coming out of these different technologies, and everybody's coming out with a desktop printer, right? I
Sure.
mean, I've seen companies all over now starting to set up, their little shops, little sheds out back, barns, you name it, and they're just lining up these small plastic machines, and they're just starting to run businesses, right?
Right.
Day in, day out, running parts. I mean, it's easy. You got companies that use a digital thread we were talking about. They essentially let people go in and just set up a part on their printer. I mean, you can just use that platform and just throw your file in there and get it started.
Right.
Somebody's not even have to be there to run it.
Yeah, well, you bring up a good point too. Is as far as it's not only the machine. When you're looking at contract manufacturer, service provider, it's not only the machines they have, but it's the the services they have, and what the team can do for you there, and how they could actually walk you through the proper procedures and take away some of the burden of having to do that in house. And do it actually at the contract manufacturing facility by working with a team of developers or someone that's actually gone through a similar project before, and able to take that time to market and cut it down, and make it happen a lot quicker with the expertise that particular service provider has. So I know that you guys have a lot of that. You have a team there that does stuff for people outside of just running a part on the machine. Talk a little bit about that. What do you do to help people that are going through looking to print something on a manufacturing scale?
Well, we definitely get started with the DFAM process, right? So we get back into hey, where's this part coming from? Are you just trying to bring a casting over here to see if you can print faster and cheaper, which is typically the case.
Yeah.
Some of it for the basic idea of can it do it cheaper, faster, but there was a reality there. Yeah, they would like it to be less expensive. What they're really looking to do is eliminate time, right? They're really looking to eliminate manufacturing time, production space, right? They want to bring all that down. Mostly in aerospace, they want to get away from these 8-month casting, timelines, or more. In some cases, depending on how complicated the part is. So we immediately start with the why. Why are you doing this part? Why, what is going on? What is the business case for this part? Because typically we don't do anything going forward that's not going to amount to a frozen design.
Right.
Moving forward for years of programs. That's what we're looking for is because right now the technology is so based on having a frozen design, especially in metal. Plastic, you still have the opportunity to get away with it, and I'm not taking away from plastic in any way.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you can build a part in any geometry or any orientation you want in a plastic machine. It'll build, right?
Yep.
You just can't do that in metal. So for us to lock down a design is so important in transitioning and using this technology in its best case scenario. So really for us, it is getting it into the why. Why are you doing this part? Here's what you need to be doing. And hey, by the way, when you're doing this, what value are you adding to the part? Because if you're not going to add an additive value to the part,
What's the point? Yeah.
Right. What's the point of doing it? You're missing the whole thing. So and we've done that, and the ones we've done that on have become fantastic programs for us. Right?
Yeah.
It's just the way it has to be done. Yep.
So do most of the customers that come to you, how far are they on that process? Are they more like, hey, here's something to print? I'm sure there's those people that come from a bid, and that happens, but there's the people who might have an existing part that they think that they just want to print on a 3D printer. They haven't made any changes to it at all to take advantage of any of the advantages of 3D printing. So like, I guess, what percentage of people do you see like that? The people that are just trying to give you something to print that's already been made, and the normal traditional way, versus the people that have took the time to design for the process and actually come up with something ready to go.
I'd say, I'll just be fair about it. I'd say 75% of the people that we talk to, and again, we're dealing with aerospace, we're dealing with some large OEMs, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
they've done this before. Most of the time they have a part that they're trying to transition from something else, right? Or at least an idea. They've got something to start with. So I'd say 75%. We don't get a ton of the, hey, I drew this up last night on a napkin, right?
You're right.
We don't get a lot of that anymore, if at all. So I would say it's the largest amount already has an idea in mind. They want to see, hey, if we printed this thing, we know it's a casting now, or we know this is a machine part now, but can you give us an idea roughly what this would cost to print this part? And obviously it's not designed the right way and it's going to have issues, but just an overall idea. They just want to see if it works in a program, right? They want to see if it's going to actually work financially in their program, and that includes schedule, right? So they want to see, okay, let's see, we build a part that is adapted for additive, and it runs the table here, and it just cuts away 3/4 of our schedule. We have to do this, right? We have to figure out how to get down this path, and that's what they're looking for. But most of our clients are doing that.
Yeah, they're already ready to go. I know that both working on the metal side and aerospace, you have a lot of, is it laser powder bed fusion? Is that the technology that you're mostly running at Encodema, or do you work with different technologies for additive?
Yeah, laser powder bed fusion is what we deal with. Yeah.
Right. So working with laser powder bed fusion and metal, and then you're able to, of course, work with different OEMs and their machines out there, and specialize in maybe doing something a little better than the next, or even proving different systems out for companies. I know Encodema does a lot of that. Have you seen all these technologies over the years? Why is laser powder bed fusion, what you have stuck to, and what are some of the benefits that you keep holding on to that as your metal 3D printing technology of choice?
For us, it's the level of detail that the technology can handle. With that, you've got a little bit of downside, and you've got the other technologies that are out there that of course, that makes it their upside, right? So they want to go differently than what you want to do. But overall, the overall quality of the part that we believe is better in laser powder bed fusion as it stands today. I mean, that's just kind of where we're at. I mean, you can go with some, EBM technology does a lot of things that we cannot do, right? Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, they only do it with a couple of materials, and really kind of locked in on the kind of parts that they can actually create. Just as we have some limitations as well, right? So we have some out there, but we feel that overall it covers most of the spectrum with the laser powder bed fusion.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know, just obviously my past 5 years of working with it also, it's been amazing to see that quality and repeatability, and how you can do that on a consistent basis, because it's easy for somebody to print a part out once, make it look nice, but try to do that 500 times, 1,000 times, and see what you come up with repeatability. And in laser powder bed fusion, it's kind of the one that's had the test of time to come up with those repeatable parts a lot more than other technologies right now. So it's cool to see that happening, and it's something that with that precision and that repeatability, you can't quite get that in other things right now, but there are some other technologies that are stepping up to the plate. So it's an exciting time to be inside of additive manufacturing and see these applications come to life, and laser powder bed fusion does that on the high precision and repeatability. That's really where is the biggest thing for looking at laser powder bed fusion and metal itself for 3D printing. So Encodema does a lot of great work. Encodema 3D does a lot of great work with that. And, it's a pleasure to talk to a contract manufacturer right now who's actually working and doing things to support what's happening. As far as the aerospace industry itself, you're servicing the aerospace industry. Have you seen anything change in the last month and a half of where any different focus is happening, or maybe pulling back or focusing on something different now during this COVID-19 time?
No, I think for us right now with the aerospace defense work that we do, it really, I guess and you may hear some things out in the industry now. Currently, people are kind of, rumoring about it and talking about it. That commercial aerospace is kind of going on a, kind of on a delay. And that being in of itself, that doesn't necessarily roll into the aerospace defense area. We're still moving, but it may look like they're not, but right now we're just locking down on production stuff, right? So there's not a whole ton of hype going on about 3D printing. It's very similar to what happened, 5 years, maybe 8 years ago with medical. Medical was driving it to begin with, right? They were all about it.
Yeah.
And then when they finally figured it out, got it in there, and got it, now they're just locked down and they were working on production, right? And now you'll start to see another wave of them coming back on and start to work on some more things and get it out there. I think we're kind of in that wave right now with aerospace. I also believe that currently the OEMs that are the large OEMs that are out there, they're kind of the trendsetters. They've gone out and done this and gotten it going. And we have clients of ours that have their own machines. They develop and internalize all their own parts, and then when they're ready for production, they bring them out and bring them to us, which is the business model we were looking for to start with, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's happening now where I think it's the second wave of companies coming out. So now you're going to have this entire wave of tier one suppliers, other billion-dollar companies that no one knows about, right? They're all the ones that work in the background that nobody knows about. They all know the Lockheeds, the Northrops, and the Boeings.
But like a J-Bowl or something like that.
That's right. But they don't know, they don't know the companies that support those companies, right? And those are the ones that are come out, and they're going to get their feet wet, and they're going to be out looking around. So, all the other machine OEMs that are out there are going to get another wave of companies that are going to come in and be like, hey, we want to learn about additive too, and we heard about this metal stuff.
Right.
It's a little shocking, but that's how big the world is, right? We all get locked into our little worlds of we're the biggest, baddest thing in the market. We're not even the biggest, baddest, service provider in the market. I mean, and there's not a whole lot of them out there, right? So we're still not even that, right? So you think we'd have an advantage there? We don't. But yes, I mean, the amount of clients that are available out there is just it's tremendous. So I mean, the amount of growth that's going to happen in the next 20 years is just going to be,
right. Yeah. No, I think one thing that popped up when you were saying that in my head was, the sole sourcing. A lot of what's happening now is these companies have a sole source for, their one product that they have or multiple products, and that they haven't even looked at for a backup source because they thought they were fine working with someone overseas and that'll just be the way it goes. But now that's been a big, big, I guess, reality check for most companies to say, I have a single source for this, and that's not really good. I have to have some backup plans to mitigate what might happen and things that do have emergencies that do come up. And that's again where additive and 3D printing steps right up and is in that spotlight for that option from the single source that they currently are working with. So I'm sure we'll see a lot more companies step up now to take care of that and mitigate that possible risk of having a single source. I think that'll start to happen a lot more over the next few years, and we'll get to see a lot more activity happening and contract manufacturers picking up a lot of that work, and also the growth of 3D printers being out there and additive machines being sold and used across the board. So it's exciting to see that unfold right now. I think it's an interesting time for additive. So again, I'm happy to talk to a contract manufacturer. I'd love to talk to more of them and see a little bit more about what's going on right now out there in the world. And hopefully I get to do that someday. But I do appreciate this conversation because it's uncovered a lot for me for sure. And I hope some other people that might be listening could understand a little bit more about what it takes and what you go through as a contract manufacturer. Of course, talking to Encodem 3D, one of the largest ones out here in North America. And James Hockey over here, very happy to be hanging out with you, buddy. And hopefully we get to do something soon again. I know, appreciate you taking a little bit of your time right now. And anything else that's going on? What's your normal life been like? Are you at home? I know you said you're in Chicago, and the Encodem's facility is in New York. So are you doing a lot of things, obviously, from your home location? And what's that been like for you to be at home working right now during this time?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the only difference really is the travel, right? That's gone away.
Yeah.
But working remote's always been something I've done, so that's
Yep.
that's not different for me. But been missing out on seeing clients and their facilities, and going to visit them and talk about the programs, and seeing what's actually happening. That whole face to face has kind of gone away. Kind of interesting to figure out that potentially this may be the way we do things going forward, right? This may
Okay.
be. And it may get pushed much harder and faster than any of us may imagine. That travel may just become different, and kind of concerns a little bit about the travel industry, where that's gonna end up, because
Yeah, no. Yeah.
you got airlines and hotels and rental companies that are going to be like, where is everyone? I mean, I could easily see this being cut in half of what normally has been done.
Capacity. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, trade shows, right? We had great, couple of
This is
trade
our
shows.
season right now. We're in the middle of it, and none of them
Yeah.
have happened so far.
Those have gotten missed.
Yeah.
But then we've had a couple that have come online that have been like, it's kind of cool, right?
It is.
It kind of works. This is interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's give and take with it. We'll have to see how that rolls out. But I can see there's been a few trips that I've taken that probably could have turned into just, a couple of Zoom calls,
Mm-hmm.
right? Could have maybe done it that way. Now there's some trade shows. I think you still need to go and physically see people and machines and equipment and technology, and you got to go do it. But there's been a lot that could be changed to this method of the digital thread. Right, here we go.
Here we go. Yeah, I know. Earlier, I think it was yesterday, I saw some news that at least IMTS is pushing forward in September. So that's at least one. And how that's going to look is still up for grabs for everybody. It's like kind of like, okay, how is that going to be set up? But it's going to be interesting to see how they push that out over the next couple months, and really start to talk about what's going to happen at the big trade show, because that happens, once every 2 years. It's an international trade show. That's where all the machinery is under one roof, and you do get a lot of updates and things you couldn't quite see, from your home. So some hands-on experiences that are definitely very challenging virtually.
Right.
Not to say they can't be done, but especially in the time period of setting that up. I really hope that IMTS is still going to happen this year. It looks like it is, and I'm excited about that. So I'll be looking forward to seeing that ramp up, because it seems like the only one to look forward to right now. But yeah, so that's good. And are you planning on being there at this point, or is IMTS in your site for possible?
It's funny you brought that up. I just made sure I got hotel rooms booked for that. And of course, as I went to go book the hotel rooms, it's Hilton saying even there is maybe. They're letting you book the room, but it says maybe. Maybe there's rooms, maybe there isn't.
Wow. Okay.
Right? So,
yeah.
I mean, everyone's still kind of like, well, I don't know what's going to happen.
The unknown.
Another one coming up too. That's that they moved back. That should have been happening this month in California, Space Tech Expo.
Right.
And that one's been moved to, I think it's August.
Okay.
So that one's been moved to August, and I'm hoping that one goes off as well. Hoping that one happens. So that's another one I should get out to. We got a lot of clients out in California, and I would like to be out there and see what's happening on and some of this stuff. So, but kind of actually sad I missed Formnext. I heard there were a lot of things that were introduced this past Formnext, and a lot of people were very excited about some of the happenings that came out of that one. So I'm hoping IMTS does go, because like you said, it's every 2 years.
Yep. Yeah.
That's a long time to wait. I mean, hopefully they would only push it off a year if they did that, but it'd be nice to get it off this year in Chicago. So
yeah, I'm looking into getting one of their team members from the IMTS team over there as another guest to talk a little bit about what they're doing. So looking forward to doing that soon also. But in general, man, hey, thanks for coming in and hang out today. I know there's a lot going on, so I do appreciate you taking your time. And again, happy Cinco de Mayo. Look forward to doing some more events together. Hopefully we can get some stuff going in the future, talk about different issues and things going on. So thanks for your time, Jim, and we'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me.
real deal for you, well, I'll be right tonight by your side. Yeah. You believe me? You believe me now?